What if everything you've ever been taught was designed to keep you from thinking for yourself? What if the very system that raised you trained you to obey, conform, and repeat? Slavery and control, not the kind bound in iron chains, but the kind hidden behind chalkboards, bells, and factory lines. Today, we peel back the layers of the school system, its occult origins, its political puppeteers, and how it evolved into one of the most powerful tools of mass control ever devised. I am Seven, and welcome to The Seventh Sigil. At the foundation of this build, we must understand the modern American school system didn't just happen, it was engineered. Benjamin Rush, one of the many that signed the Declaration of Independence, said, "Let our pupil be taught he does not belong to himself, but that he is property. Let him be taught to love his family, but let him be taught at the same time that he must forsake and even forget them when the welfare of his country requires it." Is this the so-called freedom that our founding fathers had in store for us? This wasn't education, it was indoctrination. Let's fast forward to the late 1800s when industrialists and political elites began shaping education. One of the first builders of the program, Horace Mann, was named the father of American public education. Horace Mann was also the creator of Junior Achievement USA. To keep that in mind, it will come up later in the video. Mann couldn't do this alone. John D. Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, and J.P. Morgan in the early 19th century all put their dollars up and took a stake in America. They stamped history, kind of like Elon Musk and Bill Gates. The billionaires of that time weren't just revolutionizing their industry. They were funding education and molding it in their interests under the mask of philanthropy.
Yeah.
Why don't you give more in the United States?
We do give a lot in the United States. We give to education through scholarships and helping to make public schools better. That's a huge focus of our foundation.
Because we believe that we can make the world a better place, and we should do that while we're here.
What's your
Sounds all too familiar. John D. Rockefeller spoke these words. "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." The Rockefellers and many other oligarchs of America poured millions into the educational system. In today's dollars, it would be billions. This unprovoked generosity was the precursor to the New World. Obedience, punctuality, and compliance. The industrial giants from that time executed a detailed plan designed not only to keep the society of the 19th century in compliance and hypnosis, but every generation going forward. The elite needed workers. The schools became the training grounds. Students were grouped by age, marched to bells, rewarded for memorization, and punished for deviation. This model wasn't exclusive to America. It echoed in every authoritarian regime across history. In Nazi Germany, Hitler's youth program used schools to embed loyalty from a young age. Textbooks were rewritten. History was erased. The goal was simple: shape the mind early, and the adults will follow. In North Korea, education is pure propaganda. Children are taught to worship their leaders and hate the outside world. There is no space for questioning, only repeating. But ask yourself this: is our system really that different? We pledge allegiance every morning. We memorize carefully curated history. We are tested not on wisdom, but on compliance. Sadly, most parents don't know half the stuff their child is learning or even how they are being taught. How we learn is important considering AI is everywhere. Critical thinking and the use of imagination is needed now more than ever. Edward Bernays, the father of public relations and nephew of Sigmund Freud, wrote, The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. Bernays helped corporations and governments manipulate public opinion, often starting in schools. Textbooks became sanitized, curricula removed uncomfortable truths, the genocide of Native Americans was softened, the reality of slavery was brushed aside, and the illusion of the American dream was plastered over every wall. Meanwhile, students were taught to obey authority, respect hierarchy, and never question the system. This wasn't education, it was brainwashing and conditioning. Mass education is one of the most effective mind control tools ever created. The CIA took things even further, discovering 101 ways to cast spells over fertile minds. How do we get them to comply without using force? If you are a researcher like me, I left a link down below to a CIA classified reading room document on brainwashing techniques. Comment down below what you think. Here are a few words from the document. We know now that men can be made to do exactly anything. It's all a question of finding the right means. If only we take enough trouble and go sufficiently slow, we can make him kill his aged parents and eat them for stew. As I was doing my research for this video, a vivid memory of my time in school popped in my head. A good portion of you all
J.A.
probably will
Biztown is a
remember
mini
too.
community filled with a gas station, city hall, a Reese's, and now a newly added Chick-fil-A. The goal of the program is to teach young students how an economy works. That includes learning how businesses work with one another, how citizens make money and contribute to the economy. Before today, the students have spent at least 12 hours preparing for their trip to the Biztown. They learned how to fill out a job application and interview for a job. Now they're putting everything they've learned to work.
So every student here today will play a role as a worker in one of the businesses in J.A. Biztown, and they are also going to be a consumer while they are here. So they will earn paychecks, and then they can decide with their own personal money where they want to spend that money.
In the 6th grade, did you ever take a field trip to an imaginary town where they made common jobs and capitalism seem fun? As you can recall from earlier in the video, I mentioned that Horace Mann created the Junior Achievement Program. Well, that program implemented these imaginary towns all across the country in the early 2000s, basically a hands-on simulation for the up-and-coming enslaved. Sort of sinister way to prepare children for employment. It's quite disturbing remembering some of the jobs that was placed in BIZ Town. Places like Arby's, Chick-fil-A, and Taco Bell, all positions chosen by the teacher or raffled off. Another psychological mind trick to reinforce the idea that you are just another cog in the wheel and the authorities know what's best for you. Bringing things together, we see in the 1800s, slavery was visible, brutal, obvious. But after abolition, a new form emerged: economic slavery, sharecropping, debt bondage, prison labor. Fast forward to the 50s, and you'll see another shift the rise of the production line. Men and women filed into factories, performing the same motion for hours, day after day, breaking their bodies down for pennies of the dollar. The school system adapted to this reality. It trained kids for monotonous jobs, drilled discipline, and punished creativity. And today, we live on a digital plantation. Content creators working tirelessly, constantly feeding the algorithm. Workers in Amazon warehouses tracked by AI. FedEx drivers are timed down to the second. Employees at Pepsi and General Motors operate on grueling shifts under fluorescent lights. Surveillance, control, and punishment are all present just in modern form. And what do they all have in common? All trained in the same school system. The bell rings, you move. The light changes, you react. The screen buzzes, you obey. From childhood to adulthood, we are trained in a Pavlovian system of response. And for what? A life of labor, debt, stress, and illusion. We are graded, scored, ranked, evaluated, not for who we are, but for how well we perform under a system designed to dehumanize. Teachers are bound by standards. Students are drugged for daydreaming. Art is cut, philosophy is ignored, and questions are discouraged. This is not education. It is mental slavery. At the most impressionable age, children are brainwashed subconsciously, imprinting their psyche, promoting poverty and a worker bee mentality. Now, if you haven't noticed, programming and control keeps the perpetual cycle of poverty in America going. This world has an abundance of resources, yet still there are people with a college degree that don't know where the next meal will come from, playing a program that he is unconscious of. Programming can come from the ones who love us too, passing down habits and circumstances. Keep in mind, guys, almost 60% of all parents that have children in the public school system are living below the average federal poverty level. From birth to around age 8, the subconscious mind is programmed with beliefs and behaviors. The subconscious receives information through symbols and repetition. At birth, we are bombarded with symbols everywhere, especially cartoons and media alike. But that's a whole other topic that I will discuss in a future video. After a while, most accept the program, but some know deep down inside there is a higher truth. The further we go down the rabbit hole, you can see the occult is hidden in plain sight. The mortarboard cap resembles the Saturnian square, a symbol of restriction and time. Graduation ceremonies echo ancient rites of passage, stripped of their spiritual meaning. You rise, you march, you obey. The school system mimics Masonic structures, levels, initiation, hierarchy, but without enlightenment, only indoctrination. Even the architecture rows of desks facing a single authority figure mirrors the setup of religious cults and fascist regimes. It is a temple not of truth, but of control. This is not a fear campaign, not here to promote doom. This is to empower you to program yourself into your desired reality. So what can you do? You can question. You can unlearn. You can teach yourself what they tried to erase. The truth is you were born free, but they built a cage of invisible bars made of schedules, scores, and status. The first step is breaking free. Having the awareness of what's going on inside and around you, staying in the present. If you enjoy videos like these, share it, comment, subscribe, because the more we remember, the harder it is for them to erase us. I